I'm George Williams.
Well, George, I want to first thank you for inviting me, and we're going to have a great conversation. Hopefully, this would help our community and our people who want to learn something which I'm going to share.
Well, in case you didn't catch on to that, this is Mr. Ramesh Gulati, and we've got a special treat. We're going to deliver. I'm thinking a four-part podcast, which are the life lessons of the reliability Sherpa himself. Are you excited about that?
I'm really excited. I've been thinking, hey, that's great. Hopefully, I can share something, or we can, together, we can bring something so people can learn from these instances we're going to talk about.
I love it. Every time you and I get together, I learn so much from you. And I don't just mean from a technical reliability perspective. You are a humble leader and a people person, and you understand the importance of connecting to the human element, and I like that's just part of who you are. That just makes me so proud to even know you.
Well, I don't know. It's just I think this learning and sharing gets me feel young. I don't know. When I go to these conferences, we go together, we talk to the people, and boy, that gets me that I'm 30, 40, 50 years old. But when I get back home or at hotel, I feel that boy, how old I am. But hey, I enjoy learning. I've been doing this, and now it's getting a little bit challenging, but I enjoy it, and that's the reason I'm here today.
Excellent. Well, let's dive right into well, I guess 30, 40 years ago.
Hey,
Maybe
hey,
longer at this point. Yeah.
it's
So
almost
let's
60 years.
let's talk early 60 years of experience in this space. That is just amazing. By the way, news for you, because it varies and changes, but earlier today I had to look something up for somebody, and I looked up your book on Amazon, and at this very moment it is number one in engineering management.
Ooh,
That means you have a bestseller.
thank you. Well, it has been almost 15 years or 16 years this book has been out. I'm
Yeah.
amazed. And really, wherever I go nowadays, I mean, somewhere in Brazil or Saudi Arabia or India or wherever, Canada, people, when they come to you and they say, hey, I read your book or something, it's been a long time. I'm really happy that I was able to do this, share my knowledge through this book.
Yeah, it's amazing, amazing. Okay, so let's dig in. Early stages of your career. Introduce me to young Ramesh. What was he like?
Well, let's start again. Learning starts at early age, all of us, which is a family with our parents. We learn, and but we are talking on maintenance reliability, and that started for me when I graduated. Oh, almost 62 years ago, and after graduating, got my mechanical engineering degree, BSME. I started working for the company called Heavy Engineering Corporation and their foundry forge plant. One of the largest foundry forge plant in the Asia of that time. And I was hired as a construction project engineer, and that was good for a few months. Then opportunity came. I was assigned to meet to foundry forge as a maintenance engineer, and that was just you know in the colleges, we don't hear maintenance. We never learned about maintenance. They don't teach us how to maintain equipment. Mostly we learn theory. And that was a really a great opportunity learning from me, of course. I had 16, 18 hours a day for 7 days. What happened was this foundry being built, under construction. But they had a one side, one bay was dedicated to a pilot production for learning for their guys. Also, it was a pilot production going on. So whole this was the only thing going on in the this large company. Eventually, there were over 10,000 people working, and my place where I was working was about 2,000 or eventually. But that time, this was a learning ground or teaching or pilot production. And the whole company in the morning, the top management will come there. With first 2 hours from 8 to 10, somewhere there, they'll come and start asking questions. Boy, this young man, alone with two people, it was a pilot production, but still a lot of equipment. These equipment came from all over the world. So I started. And boy, what a learning it was. It was not learning, it was also my people. I had two people. Eventually, we had about 80 people when we all everything was set up. But those learning was great. I
Imagine,
hated those designers, capital project guys.
yeah, imagine what it must have been like, or what it would be like in today's environment if, when an organization decides to build a new plant, they put together a training area as the plant is being built to make sure that on day one, I mean, how many manufacturing plants have you seen go up where it takes them 6, 8, 9, 12 months to ramp up to speed? And most of it is because the engineering project is one phase, and then flip the switch and start production is another phase. They never overlap the two.
That's right. And somehow it was fortunate or unfortunately, whatever, I was brought in because the person who was going to take over that job, maintenance engineer, was being trained, but was trained. But however, something happened, he had to leave. And I was brought in just raw,
Wow.
and boy, it was a challenging. Hey, young, 16, 18 hours a day, start from 7, 8 o'clock morning till 8,
Wow.
and then come back in the nighttime hour. We were running, we started with one shift, then we went to two shifts. But in the foundry, there are some furnaces, they operate three
Yeah,
shifts
yeah, yeah, of course.
around the clock.
Yeah, yeah. It takes too
So
long
some,
to cool
yeah,
to ramp
and
up.
sometimes you have to come back and do the something. And boy, there was no manual or something you can go and look this thing. It was all learning
Right.
hard way.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, we did.
So how did you? So obviously, a lot of folks today can relate to the scenario you're in because there are tons of people coming out of college that are getting hired to be a reliability, manage a reliability group or manage asset management, and their background is mechanical engineering and they're degreed, and don't get me wrong, that's fantastic, but they don't know anything about
Well,
reliability.
that's
So walk them through what that's like. You can relate to these folks. That's pretty amazing.
well. Thing is, think about. Yeah, I mean, there is a concept there that our thinking is there. Then when you got a new equipment, it's not going to break. Okay, it's not going to break. It's good. However, think about other factors. Operational role. The operator in new facility are new too. They have some experience, they're hard, but mostly are new. They do mistakes or they do intentionally, unintentionally, not knowing it, not having a knowledge, they do that. I mean, those are issues. Then there are design issues. Those designers don't know how we're going to use the equipment. There's a lot of issue I had. I hated those designer project engineers. I mean, I thought eventually I'm going to be a engineering design engineer, manager, or whatever, do the right thing to teach them. Hey guys, go in the shop, look over there. You know how equipment is operated, being operated, and how they use it, how they are being maintained. Is it easy to maintain or not? Those kind of things. But it didn't happen. Then project people, they cut corners. They don't have money left. So they cut corners and then, hey, one instance, you won't believe, they had to hand over equipment, and this was the drive unit with the 6 belts on, V belts. And during handing over process, there's a pressure to hand over quickly. So what they did was, these were not meshed set, so they were wobbling, and they were making noise on the guard. And good, this guy, project manager, who's in charge, he said, "Oh, let's, instead of bolt, let's weld this guard so it doesn't rattle." Yes, rattling stopped because it was welded. Now think about few months later, we have to change the belts.
You got to cut the welds.
Now in this case, was in the basement, and sand is the explosion. Sand is a foundry. So literally, we have to take a half a day to exhaust the whole basement, to speak, where the sand was falling, and this unit drive unit was there, and get the torch. So this half-hour job took us whole day, because project manager or whosoever was in hurry in handing over, and they welded.
But the good news is the project was on time and under budget.
That's right. I mean, think about how much money we spend
Right, right,
in
right.
taking care of this, just minor things.
Yeah, yeah.
So there were a lot of instances like this, and we had to learn from those. Hey, these things happen. And also, as I was saying, is a lot of learning. We have to look into how operators behave, their knowledge. They do the mistakes, equipment fail. Designer issue, they come in, they have.
Right, right.
Maintenance guy, we don't teach them this. As they said, hey, first thing, whenever we are in trouble budget wise, first thing get cut is training. So all those things were there, although it was a green, new fresh plant, but still a lot of issues.
Yeah, yeah.
Lot of issues. And we have to learn and start working how we can do it, training my people, training myself. Hey, I was mechanical, and I had overhead crane, about 30 or 40 of those. Eventually, in few months, I could learn more than my electrician. I could tell, hey, from the ground floor, hey, check this wire, because as we were learning and then developing and all these kind of things. So I think it was a lot of for me to learn. And I'll give you another examples. This was as I said, facility from equipment from all over the world, and we didn't have and the big issue was for us being in India at that time. We don't have a hard currency, dollars or pounds, so we didn't have many spare parts, and that was a big issue. Later on in my life, after 3, 4, 5 years, we told after 2 or 3 years, we told management, hey, we have to do something. So what we started doing was kind of standardization parts. We opened up the gearboxes. Wherever we didn't have specs, we had to open up and start measuring and making drawings. And we, especially all bearings, V bars, O-rings, oil seals, all those kind of things. Some gears also were very important. We kind of started. We had assigned a couple of draftsmen with us. Will do those kind of things aside, and started measuring and standardizing our power so we can standardize our bearings. Long time ago. Imagine that back in 60s. This I'm talking about back in 63, 64, 65, and I was there for 7, 8 years, 7 years, from 60 to 1970 when I left. But that was a lot of learning. And I'm so imagine now we are doing still many companies I go, we don't have a standardization on spare parts. And we kind of got involved by necessity to do that those days. And then also we were going to some manufacturers, giving them drawings. Hey, make this for us. you know. So that process was a kind of a lot of learning. We learned a lot, but we had to do that.
But that's the key to everything, right? If many organizations struggle with reliability, but the necessity to get better is ingrained in you as a human.
That's right.
And the desire to figure out a better way is something that you're passionate about, and that comes across not only obviously in your work experience, but in everything that you do. I'm just curious, did you have a spare welds in the storeroom? Because as you're telling that story, I'm thinking that you're cutting off a grinding off a weld, and you're telling the new kid to go to the storeroom and get a new pair of welds.
Well, yes. Also, even alignment of the motor. We had I
Yeah.
mean, big, we had a big, about 40, 50 horsepower motor for driving for the cupola. We had this furnace for cast iron, and we had for hot air getting into air. So we had a big motors. Also, we had a line. Think about back in 60s, we didn't have a laser alignment.
Right.
My way was, of the only way we could do was my mechanic will do their alignment as much best they can do,
Dial indicators.
dial indicator. And mine was, I'll go there and put a penny, circle it, and say, hey, run the baby. If it doesn't move, we got a good alignment.
I love it. I love it. Who needs
And
that technology stuff, right? I mean,
that
it
was,
works.
another, my screwdriver was my,
Ultrasound
vibration.
device. Yeah.
So those are kind of things we had to work with it, and we had to educate our people, including myself. I was learning, and then I was teaching, sharing, hey, let's do this way. Let's try this way. And thing was, I had my boss, again, something, organizational structure. We were having, now we talk about hybrid organizational structure. That time, the major, I was responsible to shop superintendent, shop manager, general manager, superintendent. He was for production as was for maintenance. However, for all technical issues, we had a centralized group where I could go and ask them for help. But thing is, now we talk hybrid. Back in those days, also we had, and we tested both. Both system works.
Right.
I was day to day business. I was responsible to my shop superintendent, and he was a great guy, Dr. T.B. Singh. I still remember him. He was PhD from Sheffield, England, and boy, he knew it. But challenge was around. I come morning 7 o'clock. He'll come around 5:30, 6 o'clock, take a round. And that time I have to go with him, tell him what's going on the whole day. So first few months was gone, but then it became a habit sort of thing. I knew he's going to come about 5:30, 6 o'clock. I had to be there and looking into tell him what has happened.
Right.
So, and then the morning, the general manager, the whole come, they will, and whole staff will come. We explain, because that's the only production going on that time. So you have to tell him what's going on and all those kind. So literally, I could not work for between that 8 to 10 when those guys are here. The big guns are there.
Right.
You are trying to do. So it was a big challenge. See how the management works, how I have to get things done, and then I learned hard way. As I said, I started with the two people, eventually a 5, 7, 8, 10. As we grew, as we took on more equipment, we grew and we started learning more and sharing them. And another one, people say, as you ask, how a new equipment should not break. Imagine, eventually we had about 40 plus overhead cranes. And these operators were misusing them. Operators were responsible to operations. And boy, that was a big challenge. My guys were saying, they look at, hey, what damage they have done. So eventually we documented some of things they were doing. Something like that, you won't believe. they will race. We have two levels of this track or several bays, and during lunchtime, these guys try to race. I mean, each other trying. We have to eventually put together a story that how they are misusing our equipment, even when they are pulling things out. Those kind of from column to column, in between the column, they shouldn't be doing in angle, should be lifting straight, and they will do. What happened after we put our story? Told the management, look how damaged the equipment operators are misusing. There were some other things, and eventually management understood, hey, how damaged. So what they did was they said, okay, these crane operators will be reporting to maintenance. So we'll hire them, we'll train them, then we'll give it to operation to run it. But that changed the whole attitude of their people. That hey, there's somebody we are really responsible for day to day. I mean, for all their evaluation and everything, but today they're going to work with operation. So thing is again, that's a lesson learned that we have to document things, how people are misusing equipment, and they need to be take ownership or something. There were many other instances like that. So well, it was very very learning and sharing that those 7 years learning that hey, we have to arrange for spare parts, we have to train our people, and we have to make sure, and a lot of time we have to go to, still plant was being built, we had to go to capital project people, hey, this, look at this, what you have done here, maybe you could do better this way or that way. So those were kind of a lot of learning. Keep doing.
I think you're so innovative. Why am I not getting? You're so innovative. The approach that you take is no different today. When we go into a manufacturing plant, operational standards tend to not exist, but the maintenance organization has the expertise to help create them.
Yes, right.
There just happens to be this silo between the two groups. And heck, 60 years ago, you were battling that same challenge
Same
and
challenge.
solving those same problems that we're still trying to solve today for
That's
our
right.
clients, right?
That's really I wonder sometime. And we're going to talk about some of the issues faced when I came to United States. But those are kind of things learning, and there was a stick in my head that hey, there's a design issue. We have to work way early with them, and maintenance operation should get involved as early as possible. And I know there are some companies are doing that. I mean, we talk about I was brought in just right in time, all those kind of things. There are good leading companies who are hiring operator and maintainer almost year and a half in advance. Those are leading companies. They do. And I have seen those results myself. Those
Yeah.
are some in my area. And they have done a good job. And that pays off, if you hire people, because those maintainer, or we call operator, they become a good maintainer and supervisor later on, but they get involved with the design. They go visit a factory where machine is being built for them, and then when they are part of installation group, when they're installing it, they are making operation operating procedures, maintenance procedures, and those are kinds of things are done with those people. Then they become the key operator and maintainer
Yeah.
and supervisors for those departments.
Yeah. And the key for those companies to create that as a sustainable practice is it has to become how they do business.
Yes.
Oftentimes, there happens to be a good leader who's like, go to the plant. I want you. But if that
That's
leader
right.
gets promoted or moves on, then the company's back to old practices of we don't send people to places and operators are not part of the design
Yeah.
phase. So it's got to be ingrained in the organization. I'm curious, when you left the foundry, did the current practices continue?
Well, what I heard from some of my friends, yes, they continued, but again, it's a evolving process
Yeah, yeah,
and company doing. But again, I came, you know, opportunity came, I left them 1970, and when I came to here, United States, and that's I started my another journey, part of the journey, and that's another lessons learned, and we can talk about next journey.
Yeah, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. This has been awesome, Ramesh. We're going to wrap up today, and then we're going to get into a part two, three, four, five. I don't know. Let's see how this goes. But
That's right.
I love hearing it. Not only do I love hearing it, but I love how it relates to today and the folks that are either new in their journey or are sitting in their chair listening to this and saying, "Oh my God, that's exactly what I'm dealing with." So I think it's great to not only hear your stories, but to understand how they relate to today's environment.
Hey, I those 6 7 years were for my a start of my journey, industrial journey, and boy, I learned a lot. And hey, as young engineer came from college, we don't read those. We don't. They don't teach us in the college. In fact, one of my thing is I've been working with the local university in Tennessee, going there. Hey, why don't you start some maintenance program, reliability program, and universities have their own challenges. They don't want to increase the number of courses because their client, customers, students, parents are, hey, cost is going up, and then universities somehow they cannot. But I've been working. We have been, you and I have been teaching at University of Wisconsin and other universities. I go to University of Tennessee, other places, and that's it. Teaching those guys a lot more operation and maintenance is important, and we don't teach in our curriculum, and that's a big challenge.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. We'll see you in part two.
Okay, right.
For Ramesh Gulati, I'm George Williams. Go make tomorrow better than today.